morning, everyone. My name's Fran, and after 13 years of running a charity, I decided to set up my own business called Heart-Centered Leaders. And my mission is to inspire and empower leaders along their journey to learn to lead from the heart. And this morning, I'm delighted to have Wendy Yorke with us today to talk about her thoughts around the concept of heart-centered leadership. Now, Wendy runs her own business called Write.Edit.Publish, and she helps authors get their messages out into the world. So a very warm welcome to you, Wendy. How are you this morning?
Hello, Fran, and hello, everyone listening. I'm very well, thank you. And I just want to say thank you very much for having me this morning on your show.
Well, thank you very much for accepting my invitation. It's great to have you here.
Good to be here. Lovely to see you.
So I wondered, Wendy, if you could tell us a little bit about your own journey to become a heart-centered leader.
Wow, talk about leaping in at the deep end. Okay, I know I mustn't talk for too long, so I won't make the answer too long. I had a corporate career in communications across the world. I worked in Australia, in Hong Kong, in England, and in different countries. And I ended up working for the Australian government in London in a corporate job, and a very super job that was well paid and was great. But it became meaningless. And working with our good friend Gosha Gorner, I played the expansion game with her, and I realized that I had fears that I needed to overcome. And what I really needed to do was run my own business to help people communicate, which is what I'd been doing all my career as a communications director. So I set up my business, Write.Edit.Publish, to help people write books, to edit books, and to publish books, to get their messages out into the world, to help other people and to improve other people's lives. And that's where I've come from. So I think you'll see that it's come from a heart-centered place of meaning.
So you were thinking about how you could have a bigger impact and use those skills of communication to empower other people to do the same.
Absolutely right. I mean, it was, so interesting. I think it's a typical classic corporate story where you've got the great job, everything's going well, but it's not fulfilling a purpose that's heart-centered. It's maybe fulfilling a logical purpose, a thinking purpose. It's making money, it's paying the bills, going on nice holidays. But where's the love? Where's the compassion and helping other people in making money? And I began to realize that people are more important than profit. And that's where I'm coming from.
I mean, I think that's such an important message, Wendy. And I don't know about you, I feel that some businesses are starting to be more open to that concept, but I feel we've got a long way to go.
I feel a lot of businesses are coming in that direction. In fact, I've just been working with an amazing lady in Denmark, and last Sunday, she launched her book called The Heart Revolution. And I know that I've absolutely got her permission to talk about it. And it's exactly what she is saying in leadership, that it needs to be compassionate leadership, where we need to care about the people that we're working with rather than the money necessarily that the company or the business is making. And I mean, Fran, in my role, I work with a lot of authors, with a lot of editors, with a lot of publishers, admittedly mostly in the mind, body, spirit, or in the business genres, business book genres. I work a lot with leadership books. And I see from all these different people I work with that there is this upsurge in people leading from the heart, people talking about love consciousness, where the world has been in such fear recently in 2020 that I believe we need to live our lives from love consciousness, not fear consciousness. And by that, I mean through our feeling hearts rather than through our thinking heads. And that to me is what's going to make all the difference in the future with heart-centered leadership.
Thank you. That's really beautifully expressed and brings me very nicely on to the next question, which you've kind of touched upon, which is, why do you think that the world needs more heart-centered leaders right now?
Yes, I guess I've started answering that question already. But
Yes.
I mean, I'm one of these people who believe we are all connected. We are all one. And as such, we reflect back to each other what we all need. So in a compassionate community, the only way we survive is through love. And, in a sense, to me, life is love. And I don't mean love in the rather hackneyed term that we might talk about in romance or relationships. I mean love for all species of all types everywhere. What I mean by the real meaning of the word love, which I think has been distorted over time.
So really, you're touching upon connection and cooperation.
I think co-creation, cooperation, collaboration. To me, it's about true connection. I mean, I coach people to write books, and I talk about having clarity and connection to create impact. And that's very important. But Fran, also, I'm talking about unconditional love. And when I talk about love, I mean love from the heart. That's a feeling. It's not a thinking. And when we think, it's conditioned thinking. So I love that contrast, is that love versus fear, conscious versus unconscious, and then unconditional versus conditional. And yes, it's not a battle. We need to embrace both. It's not just a one or the other, but overridingly, we need to live, I believe, we need to live, and we need to write our books from the heart, because I believe when we write our books from the heart, the readers feel that, and then they feel included. They feel part of something bigger than themselves, part of something bigger than the book they're reading, and they get the message and go out there and spread it themselves. And that's what I believe we should be doing.
That sounds very powerful. An important role you're fulfilling there.
Well, Fran, I believe everyone's story matters. Everyone's message matters. You think about all history, human beings learn by telling stories. That's how, go back to the caveman sitting around the campfire, they talk stories. This is what happened to me today, this is what happened to somebody else today. And people learn from stories. So when we tell stories in our books, or even when we tell our own story, other people learn and can apply what matches their lives and make their lives better. And that for me is the passion for me, what I do. I mean, I just love what I do. And I think we are all leaders in different degrees. And I think as a book coach, as an editor, and as a literary agent, I'm leading my writers on a transformational journey from being a writer to being a published author. And the reward for me is huge when I see the satisfaction on my authors' faces when they hold their books and they publish their books and they launch and sell and talk about their books. And that for me is overriding love for other people.
And I know it's a little bit of a cliche at the moment, but I think you're touching upon a real ripple effect that those books can have if the authors are writing from an open, expansive, loving place.
Yeah, absolutely, Fran. That's so true, because to me, the written word has huge power. And in my way of thinking, even after the silence of the spoken word is said in a second, and then there's silence or a change of situation. But the written word has a power that goes on living in the silence, because our minds go on thinking about what we've read. And okay, that it's a thinking mind that's doing that, but it has an impact on you, how you feel. And when you live by how you feel from the heart, then you're living through love. And I think it's also, for me, it's also about connecting to our souls. And our souls don't think, our souls feel. That's my feeling anyway.
That's lovely. And you've touched on this as well, but you talk about the need for more heart-centered leaders in the world. How do you see that you fit into this bigger picture?
I feel that I'm sort of a bit of a middleman, if you like, or a middle woman. I mean, I believe every story matters, and I see a lot of writers who aren't convinced that what they've got is going to make a book, and I help them craft and access their inner voice and their real truth, and if you like, their author voice to write their book, so they can get their truth out into their book to help other people. So for me, it's about accessing absolute clarity about what your message is, who your message is for, why you're writing it, what it's going to do to contribute to the world. And one of my biggest values is contribution. You know, I really believe we're all here to help other people. So we're all here to make a contribution. And books contribute to the world big time. So for me, I think my role is to help people access their author voice or access their clarity so they can write their message with confidence and with true connection to their heart, so that their book and whatever they're doing in their lives, their business, their work, their family, their friends, their charity, can have impact. And that's how I feel I'm contributing to heart-centered leadership. By wholeheartedly loving what I do is also how I contribute.
Absolutely.
And I'm a very firm believer of love what you do. Love what you do what you love, and the rest will follow.
If we're doing what we love, then we're all going to shine, aren't we? And we're going to show up as our best versions of ourselves.
Exactly, Fran, absolutely. And that is our birthright. That's what we're meant to be doing. We are here meant to be good, wonderful human beings, not fearful human beings. It's not, in my mind, why we're meant to be here.
So relevant, especially now. So thank you. Those are really useful words. I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about one of your authors who might have inspired you because of their heart-centered leadership qualities.
That's very hard. I can think of so many, but I suppose the one that comes to mind first really is Gosha Gorner, who was my first Amazon bestseller. So for me, that was a real milestone. Her book was my first Amazon bestseller. I coached and helped Gosha to edit and then also to publish, so the whole journey. But Gosha, and I know she won't mind me saying this live with you, doesn't come from England. So her English is not, she's Polish, it's not her first language. She is dyslexic. And she struggles with the written word. So for Gosha to write a book and to launch her book and become an Amazon bestseller was a huge achievement for her personally. And I believe from a heart-centered leadership point of view, she shone the light on how everyone can do that. You don't, and I'm going to say this even as a literary agent, you don't have to be a brilliant writer. With the right help, with the right coaching, with the right guidance, with the right support, everyone can get their story out and write a book. I know, I mean, they say, there's a cliche, there's a book in all of us. And probably more than one. So Gosha for me is, she's a transformational coach, as you know. She is a real, genuine, heart-centered leader. Without even using the words, it just shines off her, like you feel it, you feel the aura. There's another author of mine I'd like to mention. Her name is Rosie Tompkins, and she writes about something also very close to my heart that we haven't talked about, and that is the power of nature. Where I live, I walk every day in the forest here, and nature for me is incredibly important. It refreshes me, it recharges me. I ground with bare feet on the ground. I'm very earthed, I'm very centered by nature, and I love nature, whether it's flowers or animals or the clouds or the sunshine. It's sort of, for me, we are part and connected to nature. And Rosie Tompkins has written a book called Instinctive, and it's about natural intelligence. So she's a leader, a corporate leader, And she says that we have EQ, emotional intelligence, we have IQ, remind me what that is, and we have SQ, which is spiritual intelligence. But the missing part of the equation is natural intelligence. So she says when you watch animals, if we learn from animals, we can learn subconsciously to react like nature does. So instead of flight or fright or freeze, we can look after the community. We can each have a role in the community for the good of the community, which again is heart-centered leadership. I mean, I don't know whether you're a dog owner or not, but if you watch your dog stretch first thing in the morning before it does anything else, this is something we all need to learn to do. We can all operate better when we do a little yoga or a little stretching first thing in the morning. You know, and these that's a very small example, but there are many other examples I could give. But her book is, it's short, it's simple, and it's really profound. It's really got a very strong message for the future, that leadership is not about, look at me, I'm the best and I know it all. It's about inclusive compassion for the community. And for me, that's heart-centered leadership too.
Fantastic. And I love that tip about the dog stretching in the morning. It's fantastic. Certainly something we could all, commit to.
She also has a lovely story about ducks in her book, Rosie Tompkins' book, about how ducks actually make the best mothers. And if you watch a mother duck with a herd of ducklings, she's forever counting them, checking they're all right, and their ducks are amazing. We can learn a lot from ducks. It's an amazing thought when you think about it.
I'm going to look at ducks with a completely different view now. Thank you for sharing that. And finally, I would like to ask you if you have a tip for our listeners and something to inspire them in these times.
I've got two levels of tip here. I believe that we should all be the light, shine the light, and spread the light. And I believe that heart-centered leaders are doing that by being the person they really are, doing what they love in their business, as I've talked about my business, shining it on other people, which is what I do for my authors, and then spreading that light through their books. So my tips for people are to keep reading, keep writing, keep buying books, and keep spreading your message, because you have no idea who it's going to help. And your message might unexpectedly help many, many more people than you realize. So get your message out there and let it shine into the world. That's my message.
That's wonderful. Thank you. So for anybody who's listening, who has been thinking they might have a book inside them, or for those of you that haven't thought about it yet, I think it's a really important message, Wendy, that you're sharing, that everybody has an important message within them that can have a real impact on the world if they have the courage to share it.
Absolutely right, Fran. That's exactly what I'm saying. Yes, you've coined it. Beautiful.
Well, thank you so much. I wish we could talk longer, but we will another time. And thank you for sharing your words of wisdom, and I can feel your heart-centered leadership shining through too. So thank you so much. It's been a joy.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you, Fran, for making it happen. I really appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You
take care. Okay. Bye.
Bye.